Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a Flosstube Extra. I've had many people comment and ask me how I use Notions, so I would like to take today to kind of walk you through all the things that I find so magnificent and important. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to switch screens so that y'all can see my Notions website. So this is, if you go to notions.so or you could put .com, it will take you um, to to a website. This is free to sign up for. And then what you're seeing here is my version of a template from stitchy.nat on Instagram. I will have her linked below. She has a Gumroad that you can buy this template. And um, I've modified my template and we're going to go through that, but she does have the basic. She also has a tutorial video, which I will link below so that you can understand the basics, which I'm also going to go over here. So the first thing you see here is I have selected my, this is my stitching database. Um, so this I chose this background picture. You can click change cover. This is my floss wall at home. My brain just totally, and I've named mine Sammy J Stitches because that's what I go by on YouTube and Instagram and all the things. And the next thing you'll see here is my quick actions board. Now, I can click any one of these buttons to get started for whatever, like if I wanted to add a new project to my database, I can click right here. I'm going to show you a different way to add just so that I can show you how easily it came to me. But these are quick ways to add things. I haven't really worked with creating shopping lists. That's something you'll find better um, from the producer of this. I don't really use that function. Over here is a dashboard. These will take you to different databases that you may want to use, and here too. So we will get to all that shortly. Um, I'm going to start with how I started using Notions. So this is kind of my checklist of what I'm trying to get through in the month, and it looks a little crazy, so please ignore that for right now. This is the calendar, and you can see mine looks wild and crazy and super um, overwhelming, but it's really not. So I'm going to go to today, which is October 20th, and all you do to get started, right? And my suggestion to you is to start with one thing at a time. So today, I am going to um, work on my daily 100. Excuse me. So I'm going to hit add an item. It's going to take you to this page. Now, this page is, it links to several different databases. So when you put in information here, it goes everywhere that you need it to go. So there are different ways to label this page. The label is not searchable. However, I will show you later what makes this label so um, it, it gives you you want something that works well for you. So I'm gonna do it my way and kind of show you through all the steps and know that you don't have to do it this way. This is just what works for me. So I'm going to label this my daily 100 at, and I don't use any of that stuff, but you can like tag people and yada yada at work because I have a different daily 100 if I'm here, if I'm at home, that sort of thing. Um, for the sake of this, because I haven't actually done my stitching yet, I'm going to say I did 100 stitches because that is the point of my daily 100. And my daily 100 whip today is going to be evergreen sleigh. So you, okay, let me back up. Let's pretend I started a new project today because that's what I really want to show you is how easy it is to add information in here. So this is the first time you're working on this in your notions and you're adding a whip. So I'm going to add a completely random whip so that we get an idea of how to do that. So I'm going to start, let's say, um, the glass slipper. See, it's not in my database at all. So all I do at this point is click add new, right? So we'll come back to that in just a second. You can add a progress photo once you've done your stitching and the date is set to today. This is complete for adding an entry onto your calendar. However, because this is a new project and we have not inputted it by clicking new, like I just did, it created a database for it, but we haven't put in any of the information. So I'm just going to click on it real quick and it's going to bring me to the database for glass slipper. Now some of this is the original that I bought and downloaded, and some of it is my modification. So we will go through each of those things. Let me scroll down first because it's hiding some stuff. All right. So first things first, you can add a cover photo. I don't know. I don't think I have a cover photo for this project. So I'm just going to download one real quick. Okay, so I can add one here. I give it just a second to pop up. Okay, I'm going to add one there. And I'm also going to add it here. And the reason for this is, let me upload it and I'll show you. Okay, so, and you can recenter this however you like. We'll get her pretty face right in the middle there. And part of the reason for this is because when I pull up, have a project sorted by project card, it pulls up this photo. Um, but if I click on this, it doesn't do anything for me. So in order to see the whole photo, I need to have it uploaded in this separate entry. So that is glass slipper. Now the designer, there will be a lot already here. So I can just select Bella Filipina. But let's say this is by Sammy J Stitches. All I have to do is type it in and click create, and then um, it'll create a new designer. I'm not going to do that right now, and it'll stay in this list so you can reference it at any point. So I'm going to select Bella Filipina. You select a start date. We're starting it today. Um, this will automatically put it in the monthlies as a new start. We'll show you that in a little bit. We haven't finished it, but if we did, we put that date here. Um, we're going to make it in progress active. There are lots of options here. Finished, fully finished, in progress, passive, or active. Because sometimes what I will do is if I have more than one um, project from the same designer, I'll have one active and the other passive, and then swap them whenever our goal is hit. This is a good way to sort those. Right now, all my stuff is active. Um, a couple changes I've made here. So it the template comes with to buy, pattern and stash, to kit up, and kitted up. I added half kitted. This means that I have maybe gotten the fabric but not the flosses, or I've pulled the flosses but not the fabric. To kit up just means it's something that I want to kit up soon versus a pattern and stash that I don't really have plans to kit up. Kitted up means it has everything. If it says imminent start, for me, that is like it's part of a series. And if I finish the one before it in the series, this is the next one that's going to get started. So it kind of puts it in its own label to be able to find more easily. So right now we're going to say bleh, in progress active. If it's paper chart, you can check this box. Now, here's something I made a change for is in the original template, you just put, there was like this that says size, and you would enter the dimensions. I broke that down into length and width separately. So for this one, let's say it's 100 by 170. I put each of those in there individually, and then I tell this, um, I don't know what these are called, but this entry place has, if you go into edit property, it has a formula, and the formula says add width and length, then divide by 2. Okay, so that is how I decide what the size of an what the size of a project is. So this one is 135. I know off the top of my head, I don't have a way for this to automatically enter as such, but I know that from 0 to 100 is small, 1 to 2 is medium, 2 to 3 is large, or 2 or and more is large. So then I would just come down here and select that it's a medium. That way, if I need to search by all my medium projects or small or whatever, um, it's searchable now because I have this information entered. My yearly goal for any new project is 500 stitches. So I'm just going to enter 500 there. You can enter whatever number you want, but this is going to be important later. I don't know if that was default or if I added that one in myself. I've been working on modifying this for the last 10 months, so I start to lose track. Now, this is something I created for myself because, as y'all know, I play a game every month called Whipagories. And so I have a list of 30 different categories that are randomly drawn each month. I randomly draw 5 of them. And so I entered some of those in here as a searchable tool so that it makes it that much easier when I'm looking to pick a project. So those categories are like I said, the same as when you have a designer. As soon as you enter something and click create, it just adds it to this list. So I can also delete from this list by just hitting these 3 simple buttons. You can change the color, whatever works for you. So the ones that I have in here are geometric, fandom, sampler, fantasy, specialty floss, more than 50 colors, less than 10, fauna, flora, has words, beads, specialty stitches, seasonal, new to you, stitch along, holiday, monochromatic, full coverage, and imminent start really isn't supposed to be here, so I'm going to actually delete that. So um, I do have a couple categories that I don't necessarily need on here because they're searchable later. These are just the basics. So let's say for Glass Slipper, she's Cinderella, right? So she's part of the Disney fandom. She's not a sampler. Um, I mean, she's kind of fantasy. She does have a fairy godmother and mice that turn into pumpkins or whatever. Um, Mice that turn into horses, pumpkins that turn into carriages. This project does have Krynic in it, so specialty floss. It does not have more than 50 colors or less than 10. It's nice and in the middle. It does have plants on it, I think. No, that's animals. Sorry. I don't think it has any animals. It does have plants. Uh, did it have words? We'll go back and look at the picture. It does have beads. I don't feel like it's seasonal. It's not new to me in any way. Um, it's not part of a stitch along, it's not holiday, it's not monochromatic or full coverage. So that kind of gives us a base searchable tool. I am just going to look at this picture real quick here. Oh, look, we do have birds and we do have the word Cinderella. So I'm just going to add those real quick. And so we just click on it again, add fauna back in and add words. All right. Now we're adding this, but I really do have this one in my stash. So I'm actually going to change it to kit up um, and remove the start date. But because it's not started. Oops, maybe I might not know how to do that. Oh, clear. Here we go. All right. So it's not picture. Next would be the fabric. I don't have any fabric picked out, but you can see where I already have some fabrics listed in here because they're in other projects. But I'm going to show you how to add fabric. So we're going to say this fabric is called um, glass slipper. I'm so creative today. And so again, it's not in you, and you say by the fabric name. This can be really difficult if it doesn't have names. I've had to come up with a few different, like untitled or just give it my own name type thing. Um, but you always start with what the name of the fabric is. And the reason I say that is because when we click on this, and I'm going to let it take us into that um, database so that we're entering all the information here. You see that what it did is automatically added the title. Of course, you can always go in and change this if you want, but um, it's there. So I tend to stitch on 32 count. So the default database will have all of these counts in it because Nati did a very thorough job of setting it up for herself and before she shared it out. Type, you've got Ada, Even Weave, Lugana, Joblin. I tend to do Lugana or Joblin, but she's got multiple options in here. And then she has a bunch of dyers listed, but again, if your dyer is not listed, then you just type it in and click create. And it populates it and it adds it to your list so you can select it anytime. And of course, you can always remove it. So I'm just going to click that. Now, I'm not ever good at categorizing colors, but if you are, there are a few here: neutral, dark, muted, bright, white, and opal. And then, of course, the color family. I would most likely put her on either a pink or a blue, um, just because of she's a pretty, pretty princess. You can add a photo. You can say what size fabric you have in stash. I don't ever add this information, but it's there. And then if you click here, it tells you what all whips it's associated with. So like if you have one piece of fabric that you've cut and you have in two projects or anything like that, it'd be listed here. And then it breaks down how it's the cut fabric is written out when it goes into your database. If you have any extra in stash or you want to buy some, you would enter that here. Again, those are not things I've used yet, so I'm not the best. This is now entered. I'm going to hit back to go back to where we were. This is so we're back at the project, and so right here, because we entered the fabric as glass slipper, it just says glass slipper. But if we come down here, it has a full fabric info where it does break down exactly what you wrote in there. Okay, so then there's Nati has some wonderful options for keeping track of all your flosses and beads and everything, where they're at, if they're with the project, so that you can, if you're looking for a skein of floss, you can go, okay, you can go into the floss database and I'm not showing you this because I haven't actually used it. But let's say I'm looking for some 310 and I go to 310 in the DMC database and I click on it, it'll be like, oh, it's in glass slipper if I have it entered in this. Um, oh there's a word for this, but this database right here. Same with fancy flosses. So you've got DMC, you've got your fancy flosses, you've got beads. Here you could link the PDF, like either upload it to store it here for when you need to use it, or sometimes I put a link to my Google Drive so I know so I can click it and be taken to it immediately, whatever works for you. So these next few fields are auto-populated. You never have to enter any numbers. And so because we entered this on the calendar with those 100 stitches, those fake 100 stitches we did. So it says the most stitches in a day is 100 stitches because this is the first time we worked on it. It'll give you a daily average of adding up how many days versus how many stitches done, a total amount that's stitched on this whip um, from the time you entered into the database until you're done with it. It also does, this is one of my favorite fields, and this is last seen. So we worked on it today. We know that because we put it on the calendar as such. The database knows that because when we did that first card, where all we did was put the stitches, the project, and the date, it automatically entered it here. And so when we're 6 months from now, we're like, oh, what is our oldest whip? What have, not oldest whip, but longest since worked on, which is one of my categories. And I go and I can sort by that. I'll show you that in a few minutes. But we'll be able to see, oh, we haven't stitched on this since October 20th. This will update as soon as I put another entry on the calendar to whatever the latest date is. Now, earlier I told you where naming it might be kind of important, and this is where that comes into track. So that every time you put entries into the Stitch Tracker database, which is when you put it on the calendar, there will be an entry here. And it puts all those entries by the title. So I know that when I worked on this, I worked on it as a daily 100. Um, if I'm working on it for a category, that goes in there. So at the end of the year, you can take a look and see what got me stitching this much stitches on it. Oh, well, I used it for this game and I used it for this. And I just find that really interesting. A lot of people just use the date. So you have a list of you have a list of every time that you worked on it. That's great too. For me, it's really nice to see why I worked on it. So those are some things to think about when you are titling your entries. Um, so had I been doing this last year, you would see how many days I worked here and how many stitches I got last year. Of course, we just started it. So now we're going to come into 2024. And we worked on it one day, we've put in 100 stitches. And it'll count, and then it would add the days from last year and this year in this column. And you can see it's already set up for 25 and 26. Now, once we get past 2026, we may need an update. I didn't set these up, so I will still have to learn how to be able to add to that when we get a new year. Or maybe there will be an update from Nati at that point, I'm not sure. And this is one that I have added. This is my pride and joy, my modification that is most valuable to me. And that is left to goal. So you saw that up here, we put in our yearly goal as 500 stitches. We had put in one entry of 100 stitches, and now it tells me I need 400 more to hit that goal that's up at the top. This will count down until, let's say my yearly goal was only 100, and we've done 100, it will pop up and say completed. So this is, so to do this, you have to um, add a property. Hold on. If you want to set this up in yours, I'm going to show you how. So you might want to bookmark this. So we're going to add a property. We're going to pick one with a formula. So property and then formula. Now, so it pops up like this. We go to edit formula, and here's the formula I have. I will copy and paste this into the comment box of this video so that you can copy it and paste it. But it's an if formula, and it says if the yearly goal, and it pulls this for information. That's why it's kind of highlighted, because when you put in this name, it's pulling the information from the database minus the stitches that you've done in 2024 are greater than 0, comma, or if it's greater than 0, it'll show a number. And then yearly goal minus 24 stitches, comma, completed. Again, I will have this so you can copy and paste, but it sets up the formula. Um, so I'm probably going to have to come in and update this next year um, to make sure it's pulling from the 2025 stitches. But you select, you pick it from this list if you're doing it from scratch. But anyway, um, so I'm going to delete this property, but it's as easy as that. Putting that in, pasting the formula, hitting save, and then see it says completed here. I'm going to go ahead. Now, anytime that you add anything to this list, it adds it to every single one like it. So all of your projects. So you don't want to go and delete something because you're like, oh, this project doesn't need beads. So if you delete that, you will delete it from all of your whips. So make sure before you edit anything that you're sure. The other thing that's nice about this is it does have an undo feature. So if I say undo, I could get that back. You can go to version history and because it auto saves everything, you can go to version history and try and fix any mistakes that you've made. But so this is setting up a project. These are some quick click buttons. Like if I have this saved in whips and you can see that it's no longer started because we erased that. This is in my to-do projects and I've decided to start it. I can click started here and it's automatically going to put today's date up there. Today's progress is going to pull up the same calendar entry thing like we started with this time. And finished, we'll put a finish date in there. You can add notes down here too. So that gets this project all set up. Now, I am not going to keep this obviously because I don't want to mess with my calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete and we're back to square one. So you'll see here in my calendar where, so I had a new start on Edgar. I worked on my category 1 for some stitches, my daily 100 at work, my Big Brother stitching game, HOH daily 100, and my Great British Baking Show Star Baker daily 100. All in one day. You do want to do each of these individual entries because like I said, when you go into the project card, you're going to have why you worked on it or what date you worked, that sort of thing. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is my projects active down here. So this is every whip that I have that I'm currently working on. And this is just simply like a filter function. So I come over here to the filter and I pick the ones, remember where we put that little blue thing and we said in progress active. I can change this to passive. I can check both. Any of these is how it's sorted. I keep these as my active ones. So I can kind of scroll through here and see what am I working on right now? Does it fit a prompt? Because I can see that this has ladybugs and this has butterflies, that sort of thing. I need to fix this. I messed something up there. Um, but when I told you that we added it to the very top of the project card, this was why, because it gives you these at a glance. But again, if you don't add it as a cover photo in the entry box, you won't be able to pull it up fully and look at it. So when I go into, hold on one moment, I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that slight edit. Somebody was lost. All right. So I just wanted to show you real quick. Trying to think of a good one that I've worked on quite a bit this year for different reasons. Where's Spangled? So then this is that project card like I was showing you earlier. This cover photo is what you're seeing over here. This cover photo is the selectable one. I like to give all mine icons, but it's not really a big deal. I just find it fun. Um, and you can select those, like it has some default ones, but then there's also websites where you can add some on. Um, but so my yearly goal on this was 2000, um, because that's pretty much all of mine have a 2000 goal. And you could see where I started at the beginning of the year, just giving them the date based on what I learned when I was watching the tutorial. But as the year went on, I realized that I liked having more information than that. So um, it was one of my focus pieces, and for one section a month. So you see all. Sometimes it takes me multiple days to get that one section done, which is why there's so many entries for it. Here it was a category. Here it was for arbitrary August. It's spun day 28. Um, so it it's linked a lot of different ways. Um, and you can see here, let's see, most stitches I did on it in a single day is 740. My daily average when I do work on it is about 316. I have stitched 9,503 stitches on this whip. Now, this is one where I went back and I put in the stitches from 2023. I added them all up from my planner last year and I entered them just because I was kind of curious. I'd like to do that with all my projects prior to this year, but it is a little overwhelming, so I'm just doing a little bit at a time. Same with the number of days because I did keep track of this on paper. But so far this year, I've done I've worked on it 30 days for a total of 9,503 stitches. So, and I've completed my goal because countdown. Another thing I have entered here is hashtags for like if I post it to Instagram, I can just copy and paste them from here, but I haven't actually gotten to where I use those. I need to, but I haven't. So that's what a project card looks like that's been functional for part or most of the year. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Um, and you can see like my year celebrations doesn't have a cover photo. So that's why that one's blank. Um, all right, so then if I scroll up here, we have a few. So if I click add a new project, it's going to take me to that project card. This isn't going to add any entries on the calendar. This is if I'm just maybe if I'm kitting something up, obviously I'm not going to do that from the calendar because I'm not putting stitches into it. So I would click that button, add it here, right? I'm not going to use this, so I'm just going to go ahead and move to trash. Otherwise, it will leave a blank one in my lists. Um, track today's progress is the same as hitting that plus sign down on the calendar date. Same thing. Adding new fabric was that database that we worked on where we added like the fact that it's 32 count and Joblin and all that. Flosses and beads, I haven't worked with it all, so you'd have to explore those on your own, but I'm sure it's a lot like setting up the fabric. And I do know there's some way to take like what you need and put it on a shopping list or move everything from the shopping list to stash with this button. Again, I have not worked with that. So this is a shortcut I made where it's just a bunch of links to like my Facebook group games and stuff to where I can get to them quickly and easily. Um, monthly and weekly views. So if we click here, this comes default with the the starter database you can get from NT. And this is really neat because if we come in here to August, for example, if I had marked it as when we marked the start date, if it's in August, It's automatically filtered to show up right here. So I had 2 new starts in August, and as you can see, they're both currently still in progress. And I had 2 finishes. And so when you put in a finish date, it automatically adds it to this database. And so the shows I had 2 finishes in August. This is what my August calendar looked like over here on the right with some errors. Oh wait, no, it's pulling up my October calendar. That's why. Let's, this is what my August calendar looked like. You can see a lot of AAs because arbitrary August. But this is what I really like. So it is filtered to just show August 1st through the 31st. And this is every entry I put in over on the calendar, but in list form. And when you scroll down and you get to the bottom, this totals up each of these categories or each of these columns in different ways. So you'll see where it says unique 29. So even though I have 2 entries for the 23rd, 2 for the 24th, 2 for the 25th, I uniquely there are 29. So out of the 31 days in August, I stitched 29 days, or I have entries for 29 days. And if we come and look, that makes sense because I did not stitch on the 9th or the 10th. So yes, I had 29 days worth. 14,750 is a total of all of these entries for stitches. So that is my monthly stitch total. And then if we wanted to, we could take this and divide it by this and get my average daily stitch count. It also does unique on the names here. So even though I worked on Alice twice and I've worked on Sasquatch 1, 2, 3, 4, several times, uniquely I worked on 30 different projects in the month of August. And then this count is 60. That's a total of how many entries I had over the course of the month was 60. And you'll notice count versus unique. So that is how you read that one. And again, she has one set up for every month for 24, 25, 26, 23 might have been on here. I might have removed it. You can also just look at what happened to me this week. I started Edgar this week. I did 2,157 stitches this week. The last 30 days this month. So you can select from each of those views. Yearly snapshots. This is everything from the entire year. So currently, I have 42 whips in progress right now. I have finished 14. Look, that one even says fully finished. Yay! And then it has another calendar. Oh, it has a hidden group. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Okay, so it's just kind of an overview of everything for the whole year. So then, so far this year, I've done 130,000 stitches. That's pretty impressive. All right, so then patterns and projects. This is one I reference pretty often. So there are 3 to do up here, which is minimized currently because I don't need to see these all the time. But this is all the stuff I have either kitted up or set to kit. We have not selected the start. We have not put a start date into any of these. So they're in the to-do list. And currently I have 72 of those. In progress, these are my current active whips, and I have 42 of them. And you can see where most say completed on the goal, on the left to goal. And I just have these up here, which you need to ignore these 2 ladybugs because they need to be fixed or removed. But I want to make sure I don't accidentally delete something that I might need. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 still need to hit their goal before the end of the year, and I think that should be easy enough to achieve. You got the name of the project, the designer. These are things that I have to where I can view them quickly. How many stitches they've gotten on them this year, when I started them. Hashtags because I really thought I was going to use that, but I have not used it. When it was last seen, the categories that it fits into, and you can see I don't always remember to fill those in. I need to go back and do that. And then I can add any of the other databases that I want, but these are the only ones I currently have up. And part of the reason for that is I can like sort ascending. Now, the Aristocats, the last time I saw it was July 6th, and it's the longest since worked on. I've touched everything since July 6th, basically. So when I start wanting to get all of those caught up, I would start with that one and move down. I can sort by when it was started if I need to find my oldest whip, which is Mini Phantom of the Masquerade. I started in May of 2017. Um, I can um, sort it by how many stitches I have left so that if I'm trying to decide what project to work on, oh, well, this only needs 46 stitches, let's pull it out and work on it. Or this one needs 866, really need to get to work on that. And you can see that this one is not right because this one was seen September 6th, this one October 7th, this one October 11th. So I really got to get those consolidated. So this is where I see the most functionality. And you can also search. So remember I said that I put in all these categories so that I could go, okay, the category drawn this month is flora. Now it only shows me stuff that has flora in the categories so that I know I need to choose from one of these, and this one still needs stitches, so I'm probably choosing that one. It's an easy way to figure out what you want to work on or what you need to look at. And then down here we have everything that I finished so far this year. So that is all of that. I feel like there's something else I told you I would come back and show you later. Ah, I'm trying to remember what. So, and then what I do is I'll just say, here are my categories. Um, like, I actually finished this one, but um, for my big brother, I needed, for this veto, I needed 300 stitches on Moonlight Sampler. So I do it. These ones I typically delete because I don't want this list getting forever long. But these ones I just, that's a very big spider. I just check because next month I'll need to change them. I'll just um, uncheck them, change them, and have them ready to go. So I think that's everything. If you have any questions, if there's anything I can go over with you, I'd be more than happy to. But I do think that gets you through the quick and dirty of it. And like I said, there's a lot more functionality to this than even I have gotten to. Um, so if anybody has any questions, let me know, and I will see y'all in my next Flosstube video. Have a great day.